This is my review of 1 year of trucking, OTR, over the road, company driver, dry van, 53-foot trailer. Um, I typically, I used to make like, I don't know, 700, maybe 750 a week average. Now I make 800 or 850 a week average, and I could make more, but to be honest, I take it easy out here. I don't run as hard as I could. I'm not that greedy. I'm not that desperate. Not that it's bad to run hard. You know, money's always nice, but sometimes I just like to relax and take a little bit longer break every now and then or whatever. Um, but I kind of getting sick of it. I'm kind of getting burnt out. I'm typically out 10 to 18 days at a time, and I'm home 3 to 4 days, which is actually pretty good home time by the industry standard. This company is pretty good with home time. It's the only company I've ever been with. I got trained at this company, so I have a 1 year contract I have to fulfill. Um, well, actually, it's 18 months or 120,000 miles, and it took me 1 year to drive 100,000 miles more or less, which I said before is pretty relaxed, you know.
In two
Um,
miles, take exit.
Now, if I were to break the contract and quit today, because I'm only at like 113,000 miles right now, so I got 7,000 more miles to go before I can break the contract if I decide to, which I feel like, or before I can quit, not break the contract. Before the contract is fulfilled and I can quit, which I feel like I want to do. I'm just getting burnt out of same old shit. It's literally the best job I've ever had as far as money, and you don't work that hard.
In 1 mile,
It's
take
more of a risk
exit.
job and more of a stressful job depending on your personality. You know, there's deadlines you gotta meet sometimes. You gotta manage your time, manage your clock. Um, I don't know. There's a list of 100 things that can be stressful about this job, but I'm not going to go through them. I will point out some of the more
In
stressful
3/10
things.
of a mile, take exit.
Um, the first thing that popped into my head is your sleep schedule is
Take
kind of erratic.
exit.
Sometimes it can be as much as 4 hours off of your previous day's sleep schedule. Um, some days I'll wake up at 4, and then the next morning they'll, you know, give
In
me a trip
3/10
that
of a mile, keep
will
right.
make it best for me to wake up at 8, you know? And that kind of sucks. But typically,
Keep right.
depending on the company, you can you can adjust your own schedule. But what was I saying? Your scheduling. Once you get the hang of it, you can kind of manipulate it. you can you can manipulate it so you can wake up whenever you want, typically. Personally, I like to wake up between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Start my day early. And this segues into another thing that kind of stresses you out in this job. I wake up early so I know I can find a place to park at night. Because if I'm starting at 2 a.m., that means I'm looking for a place to park at, 3 p.m., more or less. And the truck stops have a lot of spots open at 3 p.m. because everybody kind of turns in at 6 p.m. and after, the average driver. Because a lot of people don't want to wake up as early as me. But it's totally worth it. You'll get used to waking up that early, and it doesn't even feel like waking up that early. In fact, by the time it's noon, most of your work is over, and it feels like you're cheating because, like, it doesn't even feel like you've been working for, so many hours. If you start that early, that's how I feel. But yeah, it can be very stressful to when your clock is running down, you're running out of time, and you need to find a spot to park, and you go to a rest area or a truck stop, and it's all filled up. Clock's ticking down. It's all filled up. It's not a good feeling. And the sun's setting, and the day's ending, and you're running out of time. It's not a good fucking feeling. This is something I worry about less and less the more days I get under my belt. But you also kind of learn that where the truck stops will fill up and where they won't. Like, if you're around a big city, the truck stops in and around the big city are going to fill up pretty damn quick. But if you're in between big cities, it takes a while for them to fill up. They'll fill up later in the evening or in the night. So the schedule, it can be stressful. You're only working like 10 hours a day. Technically, you're on duty of roughly 10 hours a day if you try to recap. But you're working more than that. You're working more than 10 hours. It doesn't feel like work, though, most of the time, because you're just driving down the interstate. So the schedule can be stressful. Finding parking can be stressful. Dealing with people with attitudes. What I like is not having to make many stops in one day. So if I get a load that's, over 900 miles, that's good because I don't have to stop for a couple days. I don't have to talk to anybody. you know, some of the customers that you'll go to will have horrible attitudes. Some of the guards at the guard shacks will just have horrible attitudes, just unprovoked. So you got to be patient with that. Traffic can be stressful. Speaking of patience, you got to have patience when it comes to traffic. I could certainly do better, that's for sure. I know that ever since I started driving, I've been swearing a lot more and kind of like flying off the handle, if even not so seriously, but just kind of a reactionary attitude. You know, people will cut you off. People will go under the speed limit. People will start to go faster once you try to pass them, and then you can't pass them because you're governed at 65 miles an hour, or I am. this company. One stressful thing about the bigger companies, and I work at a pretty big company, considering. Not nearly as big as Schneider or Swift, but for example, the other day I had the license plate of my trailer, the light was dangling, and I went to a terminal. And typically, every time you go to a terminal, they have a mechanic give your truck and trailer a check over that only takes 2 minutes. And he noticed that the light was dangling on the license plate of the trailer, and he recorded it in the company computer or whatever. And I ended up getting a call by 3 different people asking me why I didn't notice it on my pre-trip. And the light was still working. It was just out of its socket. It was just dangling. And the point of the story being that those 3 people called me because I'm pretty sure they didn't know that the other ones called me. I only needed 1 phone call. It's a minor incident. You know. I had 3 people call me because they didn't know that the other ones were calling me. So it's a company, when the companies get so big, and this is for any industry, the companies sometimes get so big that they have to assign people to departments, and people just look after their own departments, and nobody's looking at the big picture. Nobody's looking at, I don't know what else to call it, the big picture. My trip doesn't get love. My truck doesn't get love. I don't get love. I don't get the love and attention that you might get from a smaller company where you know people by first name basis and they kind of know your preferences and your tendencies. And it can get really messy in big companies. I'm sure a lot of people in America have had this experience working with big companies. There's benefits, but there's drawbacks as well. Let's see here. Sometimes backing can be stressful. Sometimes it's really tight or impossible. You don't want to hit anything. And I guess it was pretty stressful my first few months because I was hitting curbs because my trailer tandems were off tracking, and I might have to I'd get out and look when I'm backing over and over and over, or it'd take me long to back up, or I don't know, stuff like that. Driving in the winter, that can suck. It's obviously preferable to drive in the summer, but this isn't typically a seasonal job, so you kind of have to drive in the winter. You do. You have to learn how to drive when there's in less than perfect road conditions. And the nice thing about this company, if you don't feel safe driving, you can tell them, the roads are too slippery, I don't feel safe out here driving, I'm going to park for the day. Wait till the roads get better. But still, you're going to find yourself, and I actually haven't done that. I'll drive through everything. I grew up in Minnesota. I'm used to the ice and the snow. I just drive a lot slower than I would need to. Had there not been snow and ice. I just take it slow. Um, and sliding your trailer tandems in the snow or ice can be really annoying because it takes twice as long. Um, it's hard to see the lines on the road in the winter sometimes. That can be stressful, and you gotta watch out, be extra cautious for other drivers losing control of their vehicles, and you gotta maintain a safe following distance when you're driving. Just winter driving it's more stressful than regular driving. It can be stressful going into shitty neighborhoods, and sometimes you got to drive on really tiny ass roads, like when you go to New Jersey. Um, Roads that just weren't not built for a 53-foot trailer, and you got to borrow lanes and hope people yield to you and give you room. Sometimes you're at the mercy of other people. So small roads, tight turns can be stressful. Making it on time for your appointment, like I said before, deadlines and scheduling. Sometimes you'll tell your company that you can get there at this time. Yes, you tell them yes, I can make the appointment, and then you forgot to factor in that you have to scale your load, or you have to fuel up, or there's traffic congestion, road construction, detours, and you find yourself running late to your appointment. And I don't like that feeling. I hate being late. It can be stressful. Um, Overall, it's it's a really good job if you're single, if you don't hang out with family much, if you don't hang with friends much, if you're kind of a loner. Um, it sucks paying for an apartment that I'm rarely at. Luckily, I have a roommate to split the bill with. Um, and you know what? You can get by. The nice thing about this job is you can get by without even having an apartment. You can just literally live in a motel if you want. You know, go out for 18 days, spend 3 days home in a motel. Home. Of course, then you have nowhere to store your shit. If you don't have a lot of belongings, the motel thing can work, and you can save a lot of money. It's kind of exciting. I've been talking about a bunch of bad things, but it's kind of exciting sleeping in different places every night. Traveling the United States, you know. Um, it's kind of nice just driving down the road, down the interstate, and you got hours and hours until you have to stop for something. You just listen to some music, or you know, listen to an audiobook, relax, have a lot of time to think. It's pretty relaxing for the most part. Um, it's a good idea to get your CDL. It's such a good idea. You will never be out of a job again. You'll never have trouble finding a job. Unless you have a horrible driving record and you keep on hitting things and crashing or something. Um, but I'm so glad I got my CDL. I have so many options open. Yeah, I may quit driving over the road, at least temporarily. I might go local. I might be a school bus driver if I want to take it really, really easy for a little while for the school season. Um, it's so worth it. getting your CDL. One of the worst experiences of my driving career has been dealing with my my first driver trainer. We didn't clash, but we didn't click either, and he wasn't a very good teacher at all. He would get like frustrated, and he'd always be preoccupied, so I would be deterred to ask questions and really find out what the hell I'm doing. Luckily, my second driver trainer was a really cool guy, and we clicked, and he didn't get angry. So yeah, the money's decent. The first year, you don't make a lot of money. Like I said, I make about $8.50 a week right now, and I don't drive that hard. Now that I have a year experience, I can move on to a company that pays more, that doesn't hire new people. A company that requires its drivers to have at least 1 year experience, and you're likely going to get paid more. And people make a lot of money in this business, like $1,200 a week, $1,400 a week. Once you get some experience and you find the right company. So I could go down that route. So the companies are the pay is pretty good, depending on what relative to what you're used to. But I'm used to minimum wage, shitty, fast food, retail, construction, whatever. I'm used to that, where you're busting your ass to make $12 an hour or something. This is better than that. It's easier and it pays more, but you're also working more hours. I don't know. I could go on and on and on, but I'm glad I got into this business, this industry, despite me having reservations about staying in it. And I won't even say that. I want to take a little hiatus, a little break. Maybe try something different. But nonetheless, I'm glad I don't have I have no regrets. I've done it. I like it. It's all right. It's stressful if you think about it. You might be worried about this and that and the other thing, but if you don't think about it, it's just not that stressful. It's all psychological, really. You might have all these stipulations about, I don't want to drive because of this, or I'm afraid to drive because of that. And you'll realize that once you just do it, it's not as bad as you thought. That goes for virtually everything in life. Yeah, that's my 1 year experience review of over-the-road truck driving in a 53-foot dry van as a company driver.